Well, welcome everybody to another edition of Thought Leader Friday. Debbie and I are excited to be here with our friend Zane Meadors. Debbie, say hi to everybody.
Hi guys, welcome.
Well, we're pumped to have you here. And I guess my question before we hand it to Zane is if Debbie and I told you that you could double your business over the next 2 years by increasing the number of meetings that you have with your people, you would probably call us crazy. However, the guy that's spending his time with us today, Zane Meadors, is going to tell you exactly how their team has done that. Zane, welcome to Thought Leader Friday.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill and Debbie. I'm happy to be here.
All right. We'll tell them just a little bit about you, and then let's just cut right to the chase of how you guys have doubled your business in the past 2 years.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Zane Meadors. My partner, Kirby, and I have a team in Greenville, South Carolina. We have 7 people on our team. And when I was meeting with Bill and Debbie, they're my coaches, and we were talking about things to implement to kind of create some unity and build some momentum on the team. This is one of the things they suggested. And I kind of like you might be thinking now, it's like, I don't want to have more meetings. I've had my share of corporate meetings. If you've owned businesses, meetings are boring. But slowly we implemented these things and it really took off. So the meetings themselves are not the only reason that we doubled our business. I've got a great partner. I've got a great team. 4 basic meeting types that we look at. One of them, the first one is a daily check-in. The second one is a weekly tactical meeting, on a weekly basis. The third one is monthly strategic. And the fourth one is an offsite team advance. So the daily check-in. This is something that we do every day, rain or shine. And if no one else shows up, we still have the meeting. If there's just one person, it's very quick. It's almost repetitive on my end. I lead these meetings. We try to make it fun. I ask each agent on the team, what are you doing today? Well, what did you do yesterday? Like, what did you accomplish? What did you achieve? And what are you doing today? And it just gives us all an idea of what they're doing. One agent hears another say, I'm doing door knocking today. And they go, oh, well, I need to go pick up my game. It really works. Directly after that, on my calendar on a Monday, I go into a team meeting. Everybody shows up. We're on Zoom right now, but when we're live, we're all live and we're all there. And that's tactical. We review the numbers of the week. We say where we need to be in the future, what open houses are coming up this week. We have a new construction model home, so who's going to man the model home, what listings are coming up, and then any key issues that they might have buyer-wise that we might be able to help on. We're in and out. It's very tactical. Think Navy SEALs. We go in, we get it done, we get out. And the third meeting, and it's one of my favorites, and I'm going to come back to this in more depth, it's a one-on-one. I do about a 30-minute one-on-one with each of my agents. And I'm going to dig into that later. So just stay tuned and watch for that. The next type of meeting we have is a monthly strategic. And we do this once a month, 2 hours, maybe 4. My operations director will schedule time with Kirby, my partner, her and me. We sit down, we review our P&L, we look at the budget. We do this every month. You should too. We do this every month. It helps us figure out, what we're doing with our money and our time, and that's what we're all here for. We talk about key people that we need. We talk about strategic things that we need at big projects, big events. The other thing that we do, and I just call it an ad hoc meeting, if we know there's a critical issue that needs to be addressed, we'll meet quickly. We address the issues quickly. I find that addressing critical issues with our team very quickly, it helps build trust. And that's a key to longevity on our team. And then every once in a while, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, if we find ourselves training on a similar thing or solving problems with our team on the similar thing, we'll have a kind of a ad hoc, if you will, training session, usually 2 hours. Oftentimes I'll get the team to facilitate the training. So they're training each other and asking each other questions. It helps build some leadership on the team. And then oftentimes we'll go have lunch afterwards and break some bread. So the fourth type of meeting is an off-site team advance. And this is going to be a full day. Ideally, it's away from the office. Your cell phones are put away. My first one I did in the mountains, and cell phones didn't work in this location. It was great. We had everybody's full attention. Most impactful weekly meeting that I have is a one-on-one coaching with each of our agents. And I do this, it helps me dig in, helps me coach to them. It helps me be more effective as a leader when I know our team. Again, if you're a big team or you're growing, you can have your leadership do some of these meetings, and then you can come in when your time allows. So just keep that in mind. Bill and Debbie, I want to share my screen. Is that okay?
Yeah, please. We'd love to see it.
All right. All right. So I'm going to be looking between two different screens here. So what we do is we start with, all right. Can we see it all?
Yes, sir. Got it.
So we start with their goals. So on our team, our agents make their own goals, and my job is to coach them to their goals. So we spend and identify 3, maybe 4 tactics that they're going to use, and we build those tactics out. So if an agent ever wonders, what do I need to do? They've got it right here on their own chart. Then we spend some time on some time management. I encourage my agents to share their budget with me. And sometimes I can identify some gaps in their budget or help them solve some problems. And then the next one I think is the most impactful. And we do a net worth. And just real quick on the net worth, everyone on our team doesn't participate in this. It takes a while. We talk about it a good bit. Some people don't know what their net worth is, don't know how to do it, or might be embarrassed on what it is. But once they do it and we track it and we have conversations, then we can see some real impact. This agent, just real quick, when they started in February, they were at $12,800. And then if you look in August, they're at $70,000. When you watch it monthly, it's really impactful. I'm going to share another one. This agent, when they started in January, was 46,000, almost 47,000. They didn't see much movement, and then they waited a couple of months, and all of a sudden they saw some movement. And at the end of the year, they had a net worth of over $100,000. That's impactful when you're talking to an agent and you're teaching and coaching and training. That's the biggest impact. And I think when you can make that impact on your team, it just helps build that trust. It deepens that trust, and helps create some longevity, in my opinion. The next thing we talk about is pipeline. I had a very, very wise coach who told me, don't fall in love with your under contract pipeline. And it's true. We all know agents who get a big pipeline and then they slow down on the work. But what I do on this page, they fill it out. We rank all the clients, and 11s are under contract. Yellow are active buyers that we're looking for, or listings that are coming up soon. Pink is they've got a lease to end or something in their credit that needs to get solved. And then the bottom group for her is a lot of just who's next, who's on their hot list. But I can quickly, I'm a visual person, I can quickly look at their pipeline report and see how healthy their future is going to be. When they get one sold, they just cut that and paste it into the next document, and then we translate that into their sold pipeline. And then we get to the topic of the calls for the week. And what I want you to recognize here is we don't go over every one of these tabs on every meeting. This is where we spend most of our time. And so if you look, we have a date here, but here's where they fill out how many hours were they doing lead generation, how many outreaches did they do, how many conversations did they have, how many appointments did they set, how many were held. And I can use this along with CTE to really dig into coaching to make some changes. Real quick, CTE is it's a program that we provide at Middleton Elite. It's commitment to excellence, and it's a big spreadsheet, and I love a good spreadsheet. It tracks all the details in very detail, so I can look at it and figure out where's the gap. Powerful, a secret sauce, if you will. In addition, we talk about what good things happened this week, what were the results from what you committed to do last week? What's your most important goal for the month or your biggest challenge? What's the focus for this week's goal? Because they might have something they want to talk about completely different than what I've got on my agenda. And I want to coach to the day, not necessarily to my agenda. And then last is what goals and actions are they going to commit to this week? And then I follow up and confirm that it's on the calendar. Sorry, you might hear some noise in the background. We're just living life here up in Greenville. But we put it on the calendar and we commit to it and we make sure that it gets attended to on the next week. Goals and the actions, we make sure it's committed. We make sure it's on the calendar and that's how we create this commitment, because next week we're going to follow up. And that's the end of our weekly one-on-one. It lasts 30 minutes. It's in and out. One of my agents comes in, everything's filled out. She runs through the meeting herself, and sometimes it's done in 17 minutes. I know that. So I will stop sharing my screen. Bill and Debbie, do you have any questions for me?
Absolutely. I'll take lead. So, I'm sitting here listening, as I'm sure a lot of our audience is, and thinking, gosh, that's a lot of meetings. And I know you talked about that at the top of the call. So when you think about all of the time that you're committing to these meetings, what does that do for your work balance? What does that afford you in having these meetings? How are you managing the time? Share with us a little bit about your insight with these meetings.
Well, the key thing is just get started, right? And in the beginning, it was hard. We would skip some here and there. But once we got on the meetings, I know Mondays are dedicated to the team. I stack everybody on Monday, and I just it could be Tuesday for you. Mondays might be your day to kind of put out the fires from the weekend. But it doesn't matter when you do it. You just need to do it. But by creating this rhythm, I know what my calendar is. My team is more productive. They know if they have a question, they don't necessarily have to call me on Thursday afternoon because we're going to talk about it on Monday morning. So I would say it sets an expectation because you have this rhythm, this cadence, and they know they're going to have one-on-one time with you, and they know that they're going to get a deep answer. Oftentimes, if they've got a bigger problem, I'll carve out more time and we'll do it. One example is I had an agent who gone through this and had seen productivity rise. Her husband was thinking about making a career change, and she asked me if I would take an hour and coach them together about him switching careers. And so I was happy to.
Yeah. So when you think about your balance with work and life and then what you're committing to the team, have you seen an improvement in the time that you work? It sounds like you're seeing an improvement, but what are you seeing truly as a result of having these meetings each week?
I think everybody on the team is more committed to productivity in the time that they allow their business. And they're also committed by tracking personal goals and what we're doing on that, taking trips. I've seen our team, I have one agent, or one of my staff, take her first vacation ever. Went to Amsterdam for 10 days after, a year on our team, but she's just like, that was just an exciting thing to say. But for me personally, it's allowed me to really work more a work week schedule. I don't do a lot of nights and weekends. I'll do it when we need it, right? I do mostly on the listing side, but it's allowed me to take more time off. It's allowed my partner to know that he can take time off. It's allowed our admin to turn off the phone on the weekend and no one's calling her, because we know we're going to take care of this in the week. And I think another thing is if there's a conflict, we address it quickly. I mean, we hustle to meet and resolve as best we can what that conflict is. And I think our team feeds on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like truly building that foundational level of trust, right?
It does. It does.
Yeah. I have just another quick question, because I'm sure this is another thought of how on earth will I ever get my team to fill that sheet out and get it to me? So is it punitive? How did you get them going? What did that look like?
So it took a while, and it took some cajoling, and then I got to a point where I would get on the call and they hadn't done their work, and I've got this magic button called end meeting, and so I asked them if they put their numbers in, and they said no, and so I ended the meeting. I said, when you get it done, you text me and we'll start the meeting again, and I ended the meeting. And 7 minutes later, I got a text I'm done. And they filled out their work and we went through it. Same thing happened on some other meetings. Just if it's not done, we should, okay, we'll get it done. I'll hang up. When you're done, we'll talk. And it's just, it works. It just takes time. And I think that once your team has this cadence and this rhythm, when new people come in, they just embrace it because that they see what happens. So if you're going through this, just stick with it. It works. Give it time.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like you said, layering in those additional pieces of net worth and having that with somebody new coming in, you're already having that conversation. The other team members are doing it. I think probably the naysayer inside their head is, how am I ever going to get my people? So, like you said, just sticking with it. Bill, I'll turn it over to you. What questions do you have?
Yeah, Zane. So you and I have known each other for a long time, and Debbie and I have been fortunate to coach you and Kirby for the past 3+ years now. And if people are watching this, they're probably saying, "This Zane guy, he's got it figured out. He must have been doing this for a long time." So share with the folks at home how long you and Kirby have been working together, and when you got really purposeful about team building.
So we're on our 5-year anniversary. Kirby and I sat down and had coffee one morning, and 2 weeks later we had a business, and it was about this time of year. So 5 years I've been in business. I didn't come into the business to sell houses. I came in to build a business, but I didn't get serious about building a team until 3 years ago. So that's when it happened. That's when we got serious about it.
Yeah. I think that's likely very encouraging for the folks at home who are considering building a team, or maybe they've just begun the journey of that, is that you guys have gone from making that decision to this year, you'll close somewhere in the neighborhood of around 60 million in volume with an average sale price in the 350 range in that period of time. And kind of a follow-up question on that too is, did you just wake up one day and decide to start having meetings, or was there a catalyst for that?
No, there was a significant catalyst, and that was called COVID. We went from having this unity. We were all working in the same hallway and different offices right there together. So we had this camaraderie just by living life together side by side. But when COVID happened, I'm on the phone with Bill, and I'm like, what do we do? What do we tell? We're like, we don't know what it is. And so we, through coaching with Bill and Debbie, developed this daily team meeting. And it really started to say, what's something positive that we can talk about that's not COVID, because everyone thought the world was ending. And so we started this rhythm right then. And so everyone was yearning for something. So we spent a lot of time on Zoom, and we still do Zoom for most of them. Sometimes I do a lot of the operations meetings one-on-one, 6 feet apart with a mask on. But we do that. But it took a while to get this rhythm. And when the rhythms, the cadence happened, and they felt it, our business took off. I'll say this: when my team started following me when I showed up as a leader, and I can look back to this meeting rhythm, and this is when I can see that I showed up as a leader, because I was coaching them through the day-to-day of everything that we can do to solve this COVID issue. Right.
That's great. Well said. Debbie, what else you got for Zane?
One thing I was thinking about, you had mentioned passing that if they had a large team, passing some of these meetings off to leadership within the team. So when you think about the meetings that you would keep personally versus hand off to someone maybe in a director of sales or director of ops positions, what are the meetings that you would pass off versus the meetings that you would actually keep yourself as a team leader of the team?
So obviously that monthly tactical meeting with me and Kirby and Maureen, director of operations, I would include a sales director, whomever might come in those. The weekly meetings, I'd still be part of the daily huddle. But the weekly meetings, those one-on-ones that seem to take up a bunch of time. Well, let's go through it. The ops meeting, I'd still be in the ops meeting. The weekly team meeting, I think the sales director and the ops director would lead that. The one-on-one, I would have one with my ops. I'd have one with my director of sales and any other leader. And then I might as new agents come on and my time allows, I might meet the new agent with the director of sales and kind of coach that with the person in the room. And then as issues come up, might come in and jump in here and there, or allocate 1 or 2 slots a week to the team to build into each of them just from a higher level. That would be my thought.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think that's partially where a lot of our teams are, is that they're at that point where they're adding leadership positions, maybe someone that's been with their team for a while, transitioning them into a director of sales or director or a lead buyer specialist, lead listing specialist type of role. And so understanding that it is okay as the team leader to empower your leaders within your team to go and have these one-on-ones, that it's not necessarily you as team leader, the one that has to oversee. And I think it just gives them that opportunity to own that position too.
Well, here's an example. My operations director does this with me a lot. So we're both in on the meetings, not every week. I'm heading out of town tomorrow morning, and she's going to continue. We had to bump the schedule this week a little bit. She's doing the one-on-ones with them. But she's seen me do it. She's led them with me on the phone too. So she's not new to this. She's transitioned into this in a very easy way. So it's second nature now.
With your administrative team, I know you have multiple administrative support for your team. Is Maureen or your lead admin handling the meetings for the other admin people, or is that you handling for each?
No, she handles that. So she reports to me what they're doing, and then we talk about projects. She manages that. I get reports. On occasion, I'll have an ad hoc meeting with the marketing director to develop a program or build something out or run with some crazy idea that I had for the day.
Yeah.
Not uncommon.
Yeah, I understand. And I think my point with this is allowing other people to see that we don't have to have all of our fingers in the honey jar all the time. One, as team leaders, typically we don't want to. We just want to fly in and fly out with all these great, like you said, great ideas.
Right.
And at the same time, the team will still grow under the supervision of other people. And so it is okay to say, you know what, that is that person's role. Go talk to that person first, and they'll come to me if necessary.
A lot of the clients that I coach have that challenge of feeling like they got to do it all themselves. And so a big move is to delegate some of these things to other people, but do it in a way that they see how you do it, and they model it the way you do it to some extent, and then let them go, let them run.
Well, I think it gives them the structure too, right? So they know what it is how they can lead. They're following how you've been leading, and it's already there.
Let me share something. So I've got a client and been coaching for a while, and I was talking about this with him, and he said, I just did my net worth tracker today. And so I said, well, what is it? And when he told me his number, his face lit up. But he discovered today on our coaching call that he had a net worth of over $1 million. It was absolutely fantastic. And so I love all my people, right? And for me to see that, it's amazing. It's one of the things that I love about coaching. It's one of the things I love about our people and who we work with. And so I see it on my team. I see it with my clients. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, great. Well, I have one final question, but so Bill, I'll turn it over to you for additional questions if you have any before we cut Zane loose.
Thanks, Debbie. I was thinking, Zane, as you were talking about numbers that you track, and you were showing us your pipeline and the agents filling out the pipeline and how you guys use CTE. It's a lot of information. I love it. I know you love it. It's a lot of information. How do you use that on your team?
Great question. So because we have this rhythm and we know what numbers are, and we know by tracking in the CTE everything that they're doing, how many outreaches they're doing, we identified with an agent that she was good at booking the meetings, and she wasn't really closing them, or they weren't showing up, or she had a number of calls, but maybe she wasn't setting the number of appointments. So we really dug into this, and we identified that she was from a different part of the country, and she had more of an aggressive take on how she was having conversations. And so the thought occurred to me, and like a lot of us, we get our wisdom from bad TV. And one of my favorite shows was Better Call Saul. And I was watching this right when we were trying to coach this. And And Better Call Saul is part of like the Breaking Bad series. And so anyway, bad TV. But Saul's this attorney, and he's trying to build this business with senior citizens, and he's hired this receptionist, and she's pretty new to the business, and she's just real kind of sharp and aggressive, and he wasn't getting the conversion. And so he said to her, and I forgot her name, like, Dolores, when someone calls in, you need to get a little more folksy, a little more chatty, and you need to like ask some questions. And if you hear a dog in the background that's barking, you say, "Oh, Betty, is that a dog I hear?" "Yes, that's a dog." "What's the dog's name?" "Pepper." "Well, let's talk about Pepper." You've got to get chatty. And if you do this, we're going to get more appointments. Well, we had this conversation, and we studied some books, and we read some things and personalities, and this agent got more chatty, and her conversions went off the chart. And she went from being, in her mind, underperforming to she's going to meet her goal this year. And it's a big, aggressive goal. So that's what's exciting. And if you're doing this with your team on a weekly basis, and you're doing all these other meetings that we're talking about, it's going to create not just trust with your team, it's going to create stickiness, right? And when I say stickiness, I mean, your people are going to stick with you when they're thinking about doing something else or making a change. They're going to remember these conversations, and that's what creates stickiness. So that's a great example of how we use CTE.
Love it. Love it. Love the story as well, because you're highlighting someone who is flexing out of their natural personality style and how you are able to coach them to do that. Well said.
Right.
Zane, something you mentioned earlier that I found really fascinating is your ad hoc training sessions. So could you give us an example maybe of something you guys have done recently and how you executed on that?
Absolutely. So when we look at the daily training, talking to the operations team, what they're dealing with the agents, we identify an issue that's come up in multiple rounds. And so we say, we just decide to have a Friday training. We'll start at 10:30 or 10 and meet for an hour and a half or 2 hours. And then typically we'll go to lunch. But one that comes to mind is I had some new agents and I had some older agents. And so, and I had one agent who was just nailing our CRM and the lead generation component. And so I put them all in the room. We had some overview talk, and I had some big numbers, and I talked about a little bit of stuff, how many contacts until you get the final breakthrough, and big number stuff. And then I asked our agent to sit down at the front of the room and lead and facilitate this meeting. So they showed up as a leader, and the room really responded because they weren't listening to Zane anymore, right? They're listening to one of their peers. And they got their computer out. They said, "This is the button I push first, and this is how I do that, and this is how I do that, and then I push this button. And when you do this, you have like 5 tasks every day and not an overwhelming 162 or whatever it might be." And so that was very powerful. The new agents took it to heart. The existing agents took it to heart, and we saw great impact and gained productivity out of that.
Yeah, it's a great example. I really appreciate you sharing that. Debbie, what else do you have for Zane before we wrap up?
I think I just have the final question, Zane. If you could leave the audience with just a couple of nuggets to take away that they can go take action on to start the ball rolling on this process, what would those be?
First, I would say take action. It could be small steps in the beginning, but take action. Take action. Action gets you off of zero. The second thing I would say is have an agenda for every meeting, and then just build upon it. Build that cadence. And once your folks come into it, stick with it. I promise you'll see results. And then at the end, you're going to see that this cadence, this rhythm of meetings, this group activity, the team building, it's going to increase all of your goals, your productivity, your people, your projects, and their personal goals, everyone's personal goals, everything's going to increase. So just stick with it.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Zane, for your time and joining us today on Thought Leader Friday. I know Bill and I truly appreciate all that you bring to our organization, and your clients, I'm sure, out there giving you the virtual high fives everywhere. So thanks again for joining us, and be sure to join us on the future upcoming Thought Leader Fridays, and look forward to seeing you soon.